All right, so my number one target for 2025 is the Today I'm at the Bear River Migratory Bird Refuge, and it was pretty cool. We went to the visitor centers first. I have a 3-year-old and she loves owls, and today was Owl Day, and they did a cool presentation on owls. We had Hawkwatch International here, and they brought a few of their ambassador birds. So there was a screech owl first that we were able to see, and then a great horned owl up close. So obviously these are rescue birds, so they can't be released or they'll die in the wild. Pretty cool to see those. Today we're just gonna be out here birding at Bear River Migratory Refuge. It's absolutely beautiful out here. See what birds we can find. And I also want to talk about my top 5 targets for 2025. What are the top 5 birds that I'm really trying to find this year? A lot of them are based off of one trip that I'll be going to in May. So I won't tell you the location, but you can guess down in the comments. So as always, let's see what birds we can find. Forgot to mention that as we were driving into the refuge, there was a bald eagle. So I pulled over, Leela got the camera, and Leela took these shots for you guys. Pretty cool to see that bird. There was actually a few other cars pulled over. That's really cool for kids that haven't been birding before to just pull over on the side of the road and see this massive bald eagle just off to the side. So great start to the day. We've only picked up a great blue heron to add to our list so far. There's a lot of hunters out here. In fact, some of them look like they're about to come past me in a minute, but that makes things difficult because the ducks are going to be scattering anytime we get near them. So at number 5 on my list for most wanted targets this year in 2025, I have the hermit warbler. Now this is a bird that is on the West Coast. It's in the Pacific Northwest primarily, so Northern California, Oregon, and Washington, and I definitely want to find this bird. So that's number 5 on the list. No honorable mentions this time. I don't have enough targets or trips planned to know what to want to add to my list, but hermit warbler at number 5. We're gonna continue down this trail. I let all the duck hunters pass me so they can blow all the birds out of the air before we get to them. We'll see what we can find. Northern harrier. Super cool bird, that northern harrier. That's a female. The males are all gray, a little bit of white as well. They call them gray ghosts. The females are the darker, larger birds. Good start on the day, nothing crazy. Again, duck hunters everywhere, so we'll be hard pressed to find stuff today, but let's keep going and talk about number 4 on my list. Also, real quick, guys, if you didn't know, I launched the Bright Eyed Birding Learn channel. Link will be in the description below. I have 2 videos out now, one of them on bird seeds and what birds are attracted by which seed, and the other one is on everything you need to know about the dark-eyed junco, including the subspecies and identification and everything. So make sure you go check out those videos. I'll link all 3 of those things in the description below. Caught glimpse of an absolute ton of birds. Again, there were hunters dumping off just down the road here. And so these ducks and stuff, are actually going to be pretty far. It's windy today, to say the least. Got a whole bunch of ducks obviously out in the distance, picked up some really cool species. Obviously we picked up some mallards and also some gadwall out there. And then we also saw a beautiful duck, northern pintail, just a whole bunch of them. And then way out on the ice, there was a whole bunch of Canada geese as well as tundra swans. So that's a new bird for the year for me, tundra swan on the list for the day. Again, everything's gonna be way out in the distance because of the hunters. But let's get into my number 4 bird for my top 2025 targets. So my number 4 bird on the list for this year that I really want to see is the American goshawk. Now this is a bird that you can find in the state of Utah, but they're pretty rare. They're pretty hard to find as well because they're up at higher elevations. I'm pretty sure last year when I was looking for saw-whet owls in the snow, I heard a goshawk, but we just didn't get good recordings of it, so I couldn't call it. So I would love to see and film an American goshawk, so that's gonna take number 4 slot on the list for the day. We have a bit of ways to go on this Bear River Migratory Bird Refuge loop. It's around 12 miles, 13 miles. We're probably about a third of the way there so far. So still a lot more birds to see. We left the hunters behind us. Let's see what birds we can find. All right, so I added a few new birds on the list. California gull out on the ice. It was pretty cool because the bird was like tapping the ice. You're not gonna break through that ice, buddy, I'm sorry to tell you. state bird of Utah, by the way. And then also picked up some pretty cool species as well. Great blue herons, they seem to be ice fishing out there. So they'll find a little open spot to wait for fish to come through and then try to get their meals that way. Then we found out on the ice much better shots of those tundra swans. Tundra swans are distinguishable from the trumpeter swans because they have the yellow on the bill. So super happy to pick those up. That's obviously, again, like I mentioned before, a new bird on the year. We're gonna continue down. It's so cold, but for my number 3 bird on my list for top 2025 targets, I'm going to have to say the pileated woodpecker. That bird is absolutely stunning. It's one of the largest woodpecker species, I think the largest that is still not extinct in North America. So pileated woodpecker would be incredible. I am hitting a few spots this year that has them, so I'd love to add that finally onto my list. Let's see what other birds we can find and then talk about our last 2 targets for the year. Still super windy out here, but we've picked up a few more species on the list for the day. Saw some beautiful common goldeneye way out in the distance, and then Leela actually spotted an American widgeon all by itself, and there were hunters right across the road from it. So a brave little widgeon out there on the water today. Number 2 target of 2025 is the tufted puffin. So tufted puffin high on my list for 2025. Again, we're going on a trip in May to a spot where I can get quite a few of these, not all of these, but tufted puffin on the top of the list at number 2, almost on the top of the list. So super excited to be able to see those, hopefully. I don't know if it's guaranteed, but it's a pretty high chance that we're gonna be getting tufted puffins this year on the channel. So again, if you can guess where we're going, put it down in the comments below. And also, Hawken will be joining me. So pretty amazing trip planned coming up in a few months. We're almost to the end of the Migratory Bird Refuge here today, which is kind of sad, but there's not a lot of birds out here. It's freezing cold. You can see this gull hovering behind me. Everything's just trying to survive out here. So we'll see what other birds we can find. If we see any more, obviously I'll put them up on camera. Then let's talk about our number 1 bird on the list. All right, so my number 1 target for 2025 is the great gray owl. This is going to be a tough bird to find. It's only a few hours north of me that we have great gray owls, not in a ton of abundance, but they are up there. But the place I'm going, we should have a decent chance of finding them. Again, we have to hope the lighting's good. I will have my new camera by then, most likely, so we should be able to get better footage with less light. But great gray owl, that is the number 1 bird on my list. If you want to see that adventure of us searching for that, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything. Let me know in the comments below, what are your top 5 targets for 2025? Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I hope to see you all next time on Bright Eyed Birding.